Is the Marvel Cinematic Universe doomed? Welcome back to Nerdist News. I'm Dan Casey, and today we're here to answer a seemingly simple question. Is the MCU doomed? This question arose from Marvel's absolutely bonkers announcement at San Diego Comic-Con, specifically the ones pertaining to Avengers 5 and 6, and a particular casting announcement that has major implications for the future of this franchise. Now we're going to answer that question, and to do so we have to do a fair amount of speculating, and to speculate we're also going to talk about some recent MCU projects, including Deadpool and Wolverine, so potential spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it. So proceed at your own risk, or, I don't know, get out of here.
Well, thank you, but I'm out of here.
Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Folks, Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom. The question we're asking, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe doomed, is much more than groan-inducing wordplay though, I promise. We're going to explore it through three lenses: economically, culturally, and metaphysically. Now, because money talks, let's start with that angle, and honestly, it feels like a pretty insane question to ask after the weekend that Marvel just had. Deadpool and Wolverine, the MCU's only big screen release this year, opened to galactic-sized box office numbers. $444.1 million to be precise. That means it shattered records for an R-rated movie, both domestic and worldwide. It's the 6th highest domestic opening weekend of all time, and Marvel's 34th consecutive movie to debut at #1 at the box office. That is insane. Now that alone would probably make any guy named Kevin happy, but the one with the last name of Feige needed more. So on Saturday night during Marvel's jam-packed Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige and company gave fans sneak peeks at Marvel's next 3 movies: Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts**, and The Fantastic Four, which is officially subtitled First Steps, because they're babies. That's the truth. But wait, there's more. In the week leading up to this panel, speculation grew that we'd get new info about the next 2 Avengers movies. Because long ago in 2019, Marvel revealed a massive slate of movies encompassing the entirety of Phase 5 and the beginning of Phase 6. And part of that Phase 6 reveal included 2 movies in particular: Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and Avengers: Secret Wars, the 5th and 6th movies in the Avengers franchise. Now, the first of these promised to make Kang the Conqueror the next big bad of the MCU, following in the beefy boot print of that CrossFit California raisin, Thanos. And Kang did appear, first in Loki Season 1, then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, then Loki Season 2. However, our collective Kang watch came to a sudden and dramatic ending. Marvel fired actor Jonathan Majors following his conviction for assault and harassment in 2023, and this led to years of planned storytelling being scrapped and retooled in a matter of months. Now, the other question among fandom then became, would Marvel simply recast Kang the Conqueror or find another villain? Given that this time-traveling tyrant has endless variants, he could probably look like basically anybody. It's not just like they ever recast people though, right? That's never happened before, right?
Next time, baby.
No, instead Loki Season 2 basically gave Kang the Poochie treatment. But rather than dying on his way back to his home planet, Kang was to be perpetually kept in check by the Time Variance Authority and Loki, who now tend the multiversal bonsai tree of the sacred timeline. And so the Kang dynasty was over before it ever began, and Avengers 5 went back to being Avengers 5. Avengers 5 Eva even. In the interim, Destin Daniel Cretton, director of Shang-Chi, departed his duties as director of the Kang Dynasty. Instead, he will focus on the Shang-Chi-quel and the Wonder Man Disney Plus series. So the question is, who's gonna direct these Avengers movies? Don't worry, there's an answer. On Saturday, Marvel confirmed the internet's collective suspicions in Hall H by bringing back the Russo brothers for one last job. Well, technically 2 last jobs for which they'll reportedly be paid $80 million. That's a lot of pizzas. Their proven skill at handling massive casts and landing the proverbial Quinjet with films like Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame made them a no-brainer for a cinematic universe in crisis. But Marvel wasn't about to stop there, because ever since Kang was banished to the Shadow Realm, fans began feverishly speculating about who could fill his shoes, what iconic villain could be the big bad of the multiverse saga. And as anyone who's read the 2015 Secret Wars series can tell you, there's only one man for the job: Dr. Doom. Now, for those of you who don't know, Victor Von Doom debuted way back in 1962's Fantastic Four #5. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest, most complex villains in the Marvel Universe. One of the most brilliant scientific minds in the world, he also serves as the supreme leader of his homeland of Latveria. He's also a skilled magician to the point where he could be a potential sorcerer supreme, and he's even wielded Mjolnir with ease. This guy should probably be the most beloved hero in the Marvel pantheon. But Victor Von Doom's ego and his belief that Earth can only be protected through absolute subjugation under his rule usually put him at odds with basically every other hero in the Marvel Universe. Now, sometimes Doom does work with the good guys if it serves his purpose, but he usually is in fact up to no good, which is in fact very bad indeed. Also, the man loves to toot. Can't stop this guy from tooting. Anyway, if you want a deeper dive into Dr. Doom's history, Eric Diaz has you covered over on Nerdist.com. But moving right along, without a doubt, one of the best aspects of Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox from a storytelling perspective was Marvel Studios regaining access to the Fantastic Four's amazing roster of villains. And while the X-Men has the most villains, and some of those are top tier, the likes of Doom, Galactus, Annihilus, Molecule Man, Mole Man, Psycho Man, Mad Thinker, and so many more are all prime candidates for big screen glory. And perhaps most importantly for the MCU, Doctor Doom is canonically at the center of 2015 Secret Wars series, which is the basis for the movie. That story involved multiple realities collapsing in on each other in things known as incursion events, the aftermath of which we saw play out in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Eventually, the entire Marvel Universe collapsed, and it was combined into this pocket reality known as Battleworld. Battleworld is a mysterious land ruled over with an iron fist by Doom, who's rebranded himself from Doctor to God Emperor, which, as we all know, is a slippery slope that leads to you asking questions like, would you still love me if I was a worm? For a character like Doctor Doom, though, to effectively come in and take over the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, they would need an actor of ability, screen presence, charisma, perceived arrogance, and fan recognition.
With a box of scraps!
Not you! As the Hall H panel continued, Joe and Anthony Russo brought up an entire conga line of people in Doctor Doom regalia. They then said, as proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, which, not how you say it, but okay, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom. The Russos then backed away, and one of the onstage Doom stepped forward. The crowd legitimately began to freak out. He then took down his hood, removed the mask, and people went bonkers to see it was none other than Robert Downey Jr. Honestly, incredible Comic-Con moment. It must have been electric to be in that room. Folks, this is a massive revelation. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is synonymous with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was its most visible and popular character for over a decade, from 2008 to 2019. He was Iron Man, so how's he back? While most people assumed that RDJ would be back in Secret Wars in some capacity, I sincerely doubt anyone expected that to be as one of the most iconic villains in the Marvel Universe. And if you did, good on you. I'm sure you'll let us know in the comments. Now, there are a number of immediate and obvious reasons to love this choice. First of all, RDJ, amazing actor. Second, it immediately shows the multiverse is a weird place. No actor is off limits for playing another character down the line. And third, and perhaps most importantly, this is going to have major ripple effects and impacts on the remaining characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because to borrow a phrase from a movie that many of us just saw, Tony Stark was the metaphorical anchor being for the MCU as we knew it. The impact of his heroic sacrifice in Avengers Endgame has reverberated across most of the films and series that came after and still does to this day. What will characters like Peter Parker, Stephen Strange, Pepper Potts, Bruce Banner, Happy Hogan, and others without alliterative names do when they see the face of their beloved friend, mentor, teammate, weapons manufacturer under a brand new metal helmet trying to take over the world and calling himself Doctor Doom? After this reveal, RDJ uttered the phrase, "new mask, same task," which is both glib and fascinating. It's incredibly Tony Stark. Now, Tony famously, or perhaps infamously, wanted to put a metal suit around the Earth to protect it. He even fought his own teammates to try and keep the world safe. Having a Tony Stark variant, or whatever they decide to say he is, literally try that same thing without the moral compunctions, makes for a fascinating and delectable parallel.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Not you! And even if they come up with some reason for Doom to look like Tony Stark, but not literally be Tony Stark, for all intents and purposes, he's gonna be Tony Stark. Tony Stark will be the new villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Iron Man will be the villain of the MCU. It's potentially the most audacious gut punch of a casting choice they could make. And with that said, we also don't know how they're going to approach seeing the MCU's hero live long enough to become the villain. Tony Stark has become Doctor Doom before in the comics, like in 2004's Marvel Team-Up #2, or 2010's What If story Demon in an Armor, but those are both one-off appearances. My best guess is that after he burns his face on a piping hot cheeseburger, he swears revenge on the world, uttering the devastating line, "I hate you 3000." Anyway, at this point what we do know is that RDJ will play Doom in both Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars in a script co-written by Endgame co-writer Stephen McFeely. But will Doom also appear in another movie first, maybe Fantastic Four First Steps? The current rumor mill certainly seems to think so, and that movie does seem to take place in a different universe, which could wind up as part of an incursion event with the main MCU reality, Earth 616 or Earth 19999 if you nasty. Now, with all of that said, the joy in Hall H was tempered a bit by a wave of online cynicism, and understandably so. Bringing back the Russo brothers to direct and Robert Downey Jr. to star as Dr. Doom after his Iron Man had such an impactful death does feel a bit like Marvel's breaking the glass in case of emergency. They're pulling out the big guns with the safest bet imaginable. But, as the old saying goes, no one in comics stays dead except for Uncle Ben. He used to also be Bucky and Jason Todd, but guess who's back? Not your Uncle Peter, he's dead. But let's be real, a safe bet is exactly what Marvel needed, because despite the success of movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the multiverse saga has not connected with audiences and critics in the same surefire way it did for its first 23 movies and change. As Deadpool quipped on the big screen, we're currently in the MCU's low point. And more pressingly, it had not been connecting at the box office in the same way. Marvel's previous release, The Marvels, ended its theatrical run with $206.1 million worldwide. That's a particular shock considering Captain Marvel made over $1 billion worldwide. And speaking of which, the last Marvel movie to make over $1 billion worldwide was 2021's Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's been a minute. And that isn't to say other movies didn't bring in buku bucks for Marvel, but many critics and fans alike have been pretty vocal about a perceived dip in quality since Avengers Endgame. The oversaturation of the market in the years since Disney Plus launched has led to a massive course correction at the House of Ideas. Marvel is now producing fewer films and TV shows each year. It's a worrying trend that has many box office pundits writing about superhero fatigue every couple of months. And while Deadpool and Wolverine proved there is still gas in the tank, for the continued success of the MCU, Marvel needs to end the multiverse saga on a high note. Moreover, for the sake of Dr. Doom's character and the longevity of the franchise from a storytelling perspective, not a financial one, we do hope that RDJ's casting is not merely a gimmick to drive attention and excitement. I mean, it definitely is, but the Victor Von Doom character arc is maybe one of the deepest in the entire canon of Marvel Comics. We also definitely don't believe the assertion that Downey is the one person who could play Victor Von Doom. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna crush it, because let's face it, look at the evidence. There's yet to be a good Fantastic Four movie. Doom has been done especially dirty in each of them. Even the director of Fanta 4 Stick agrees. On Letterboxd. Now, we'll know next year if the MCU will finally give us a good and proper Fantastic Four movie, but so far, all the aesthetic choices seem right on the money, which is encouraging. But if this be Doomsday at last, he deserves to get even more build-up and gravitas than Thanos got. Those movies made Thanos a household name. Dr. Doom is already a household name, and he needs to be treated as such. And that, of course, brings us back to our central question. Is the MCU doomed? And the answer is yes. Obviously, Dr. Doom is coming, but also because the multiverse as we know it is approaching a rapid and sudden death by incursion event. In the comics, Secret Wars was this epic exercise in collapsing an unwieldy canon into a single streamlined universe. By the time Avengers Secret Wars hits theaters in May 2027, the MCU is going to be on the cusp of its 20th anniversary. What better way to kick that off than by hitting the proverbial reset button? Just as Deadpool and Wolverine served as a Viking funeral for the Fox universe of Marvel movies, Secret Wars will be a fond farewell to so many of these characters we've come to know and love since 2008's Iron Man.
Face to face.
Not you! When the dust settles, some familiar faces will remain, folks like the Fantastic Four or members of the Young Avengers project that Marvel is clearly building towards. Others will be brand new, most prominently the X-Men, who are fueling rumors that the MCU's third overarching narrative will be dubbed the Mutant Saga. And that fresh start will also open the door to seeing fresh takes on familiar characters. In this case, we certainly hope that Dr. Doom is among them. Because 2 movies is not enough for one of the most enduring and compelling villains in fiction, and Marvel has so many more stories they can tell with him. So hopefully the MCU is doomed, but in a good way. Anyway, folks, there you have it. That's everything you need to know about Marvel's biggest announcements at San Diego Comic-Con, and your definitive answer about whether or not the MCU is in fact doomed. Now, if you'd like to learn more about these characters, what we learned about the other MCU projects at Comic-Con, and really just anything at all from Comic-Con in general or Deadpool and Wolverine, we've got you covered over at Nerdist.com. With that said, let us know, what did you think about all of this? Do you think RDJ is the right person to play Doctor Doom? Are you excited for what's going to come? What's going to happen in Secret Wars? And what third character should he play inexplicably? Come on! Not you! Let us know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.